Welcome to Unfiltered and Unstoppable with Rob Romesburg. Real strategies for real advisors, a podcast that dives into what it takes to scale a thriving financial practice. Each week, we'll discuss actionable strategies, tools, and insights to keep you ahead in today's financial landscape. From innovative products and powerful marketing tactics, you'll get unfiltered truth and unstoppable strategies. Let's get started by building your unstoppable financial practice today.
All right. Welcome back to Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I am your host, Rob Romesburg. And as always, I am super excited today to be able to host and be able to provide some insight into over 20 years of knowledge that I've been able to gain over the years with working with some of the top advisors in the industry all across the country. And just very thankful to be able to have this opportunity. And I look forward to sharing it all with you today. So, what we're going to be talking about is something that hits every advisor eventually. I've seen it over the years, and that no matter how long you've been in the business, no matter how talented or motivated you are, there's always a moment when somehow, some way, growth slows down. Meaning, when the numbers stop moving, what used to work all of a sudden isn't working anymore. All of a sudden, those calls aren't converting. The referrals dried up. Pipeline is all of a sudden thinned out. And you're trying to figure out what happened to my pipeline. And you're sitting there asking yourself, asking your team, what happened? We've been doing the same things that we've always done. And quite possibly that might be the exact problem. Because all those same exact habits that got you here are not the same exact habits that will get you there to that next level, to breaking through that ceiling, to break through that same number you've hit each and every single year. This is exactly what I call the advisor plateau. Not so, oh my gosh, genius, but that's exactly what it is. It is a plateau, and every advisory firm hits it if they're not constantly monitoring, looking for improvements, coaching their teams, improving their systems and processes. It will happen. So this doesn't mean that you failed, by the way. Not even close. I'm not saying that at all. What it means is that you've maxed out your current version of your business. You've maxed out your systems, your processes, your team, your marketing, even. So you've done everything that you can with those systems and the mindset that you have. So the breakthrough requires different systems, different habits, and a different level of clarity. Now, I'm not saying, oh my gosh, a religious conversion here. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is we need to make some tweaks along the way and refocus along the way. And like I said, I've seen it hundreds of times working with advisors all across the country, and every plateau tells a story. You've got to find a way to be honest enough with yourself to be able to ask yourself these questions that we're going to go through, and confident enough in yourself to understand that maybe you don't have all the answers. You did a wonderful job, a fantastic job of getting yourself here through will and blood, sweat, and tears. Let's see what that pattern is. Because, like I said, every plateau tells a story, and every story has a pattern. So, what is that? What is that pattern? So, in today's episode, we're going to unpack why practices plateau, more importantly, how to break through that plateau with clarity, focus, purpose, and real action items. So, if you've ever felt like, man, I am working harder than I ever have, and I'm not growing or I'm not growing at the same pace, that this is what you should put this episode on repeat. I promise you. Put this one on repeat, listen to it over and over again. There's going to be some great stuff here. Uh, once again, this is not all me. This is what I've learned from our teams here at Gradient, from other advisors that I've learned from over the years. I've seen it firsthand. So thankfully that wisdom has come together from many different angles of this business. So let's start with the truth of it. You don't plateau because you're lazy. Clearly, that's not why you've plateaued. You've had a very successful career for a reason. Here's what the here's what the real issue is. You might be stuck in what we call efficiency mode, not expansion mode, but efficiency mode. So you've clearly built something very successful. You know how to close. You know how to serve your clients. You know how to serve your communities. You know how to deliver. You know how to be different than your competition. So we've got all of that covered, right? We've got all of that covered. Here's the thing, though. The very systems that made you all of those things, that made you efficient, might now have you in a box, might now have you in a corner, might now have you limited. So that very machine, if you think about it, you built that machine to run on you, your personality, your work ethic, your foundation, your blood, sweat, and tears, your DNA. So you know every process. You might be making every decision. You might be fixing every problem. And here's the problem with that: your business can only grow to the size of your calendar. So let's hit that again. Your business can only grow to the size of your calendar. I say this a lot. The most the most expensive thing that we have in our life, the most expensive thing that you have in your business is time. There's only so many seconds, only so many minutes, only so many hours in a day. That's what we mean by your business can only grow to the size of your calendar if you are the one responsible for all of these things. That's not scale. That's what we call self-containment. And quite frankly, it's one of the most common traps that I see in advisors who are great at what they do. And some of the most frustrating things that I will see is if I get an email from an advisor, not 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 one time, but if I see it time and time again, to be more clear, I'm sitting here thinking, man, Jim, like, why are you the one sending me these emails? Why isn't it Bobby, your junior advisor, or why isn't Heather, your office manager? Jim, you are too powerful for your firm. You make too much money per hour for your firm to be the one sending me these emails on the admin side of things. You need to delegate that off your desk. And I get it. You're not certain that they're going to be able to handle it as well as you, or they don't care about this client as much as you. I get all that. But in order for your firm to really take off, get it off your desk. So here's the real pattern. You're building the momentum, right? You might be wearing every single freaking hat out there. So meaning not only are you the producer, but you're also the marketer, you're also the leader, you're also the administrator. Guess what, man? That will drain your energy. And what happens when your energy is drained from handling all of that other crap? What happens in your next appointment? You're so drained from handling all these other hats. Are you as impactful as you could be in that next appointment? You've done all this stuff for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours on a Tuesday. That night you have a seminar. Are you going to be your best presenter? Are you going to be your best teacher? Are you going to be your best leader at that seminar? 10 hours of dealing with all that crap that you shouldn't be doing? I guarantee you no. Get it off your desk, get it out of your way, empower someone else to handle that. So you're wearing every hat, you're so busy, you're really busy, you're crazy busy. Here's the problem with that. You confuse busy with impact. You confuse busy with growth. You don't want to be that busy. That's not what we mean by busy. And then all of a sudden one day you realize the business just stopped moving forward. And you're looking back like, man, how did we get here? That sound familiar? I bet for some of you it does. And this is the whole plateau cycle, man. Seen it time and time again. And then here are the three main causes that you will see show up over and over again. The first one is your mental bandwidth. That's what I mean. I get it. You think you're a superhero. I think I'm a superhero. You think you can handle all of this, but you're going to hit a fatigue, not just a fatigue, but a decision fatigue. If you're juggling too many tasks to think strategically, to think strategically, you are not going to have the same impact on your firm as you once had. You have too much going on, you're making too many decisions, it's going to drag you down, and it's going to kill you in your closing appointments, it's going to kill you in your seminar presentations, and it's going to kill your decision making ability as well. To use an analogy here, let's talk about a football team. And let's say that this football team recently brought on one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever happened, that's ever been. However, that offensive line is god awful, meaning they are just allowing anyone and everyone through that line. Guess what's going to happen over time? Obviously, that quarterback's not going to have near the impact that they had, but they're also going to make really terrible decisions because they don't have the protection that they once had. They don't have the time that they once had. All of a sudden, their interceptions go through the roof. Their incompletions go through the roof because they don't have that time to be able to make the rational decisions that they were used to making. Might be a terrible example, maybe not. Maybe it's wonderful. I don't know. That's how I think. The next one is capacity block. So maybe your systems, your team, your process can't handle more volume. Even if the leads came in tomorrow, they're just like, man, I can't do any more today. I'm frustrated. I'm overwhelmed. And then the next one is the comfort creep. So maybe stop doing the things that made you grow in the first place. Maybe you stop doing those seminars. Maybe you stop doing those partnership programs you had at the golf course. Maybe you stop bringing in new ideas to your team because at some point in time, 3 years ago, you felt like, oh man, we're doing great. This current level feels good enough. Recently had one of our top advisors say, man, I don't know what happened, but our referrals dried up. Our clients got old. Our clients got old, and I don't know what's going to happen. So he had to start seminars back up all over again. He hadn't done seminars in 9 years, and now he's doing seminars all over again because he's got to replenish that funnel. So the silent killer of momentum is all of these things that we talked about. So if you're plateauing, it's not necessarily your ability. It is without a doubt, and for 100% fact, your capacity and your clarity. Guaranteed. Know that for a fact. So the key to this is learning how to get out of your own way with all due respect, as Ricky Bobby says in Talladega Nights. So how to plateau how to spot a plateau early. The worst part about plateaus is that they creep up slowly. You don't notice it at first. It could be years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. All of a sudden, you look back and you're like, man, how did I get here? Here are the signs you need to watch for, the early signs to watch for, okay? So your calendar looks full, your growth doesn't match, you're busy all the time, but your business looks the same quarter after quarter. Here's a tough one. Your team is reactive not proactive. So they're out there putting out more fires than driving results. Man, that's so frustrating. Been there. Got to get out of that path as quickly as possible. Next one, your meeting feels repetitive. That's just boring. You no longer have the passion. Feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Same type of clients, same type of recommendations, same scripts. Those things will happen. We'll talk about some solutions there. Your excitement is fading. You used to wake up fired up, man. Fired up about this business, fired up to grow, fired up to help the community. Now you're just trying to maintain because you're just so overwhelmed. And here's the truth to all of that. You can't fix what you don't measure, right? So if you feel like you're plateauing, if you see it happening, pause. Don't, oh my God, all of a sudden out of the blue, double down on effort. What you need to do is double down on evaluation because it might not be effort. That might not be the issue. You need to ask yourself some very important questions. Once again, have the confidence and the responsibility to ask yourself these questions. Where am I, myself, spending time that isn't producing results? Then ask the same thing about each of those on your team. What am I avoiding because it feels uncomfortable or unclear? Maybe it's that uncomfortable conversation that you need to have with one of your teammates. Maybe it's an uncomfortable conversation you need to have with a block of clients. Maybe these clients, these are troublemakers that just take up a lot of your time, effort, and energy. Maybe you need to have an uncomfortable conversation there. Do it. Do it today. Don't wait on that. And then, who on my team could be doing this better if I let them? If I let them. So, plateaus aren't about performance problems, they're about perspective problems. You're not going to be able to see growth. You're not going to be able to see new growth from an old vantage point, right? So how do we break through the plateau? The good news is plateaus are temporary, but breaking through requires intentional disruption and quite possibly a little bit of pain. That's the scary part. That's why we don't make change because of that little bit of pain, that being uncomfortable. So let's walk through what I currently teach my advisors on to be able to reset momentum. So first of all, system reset is you want to build for scalability, not survival. So you could be running on outdated systems and you could be currently experiencing a great deal of boredom. Could be this old CRM that you've had for 10 years. You know what? I've had it for 10 years. It works. It's just what we've always had. I don't know. It's just what we've always done. Maybe it's how you delegate, or even more importantly, how you don't delegate. That is such an easy thing to delegate. Got to trust yourself to delegate. Or maybe it's how you're following up on the leads. So step back, ask yourself, if I had to rebuild my firm from scratch today, what would I keep and what would I replace? Or maybe even who would I keep and who would I replace? We'll touch on that more in a moment. But here's the thing. Get ruthless with it. And what I mean is get ruthless with documenting your processes. Get ruthless with automated what can be automated. Do that. And then once again, so sorry, not really, to sound like a broken record. Delegate what does not require your genius. Talked about this in previous podcasts. Make sure that you write down in your systems and processes what is revenue generating and non-revenue generating. Make sure the whole firm is crystal clear on it that you, as the primary advisor, you are only handling revenue generating items, only handling revenue generating tasks. Anything that is non revenue generating, get it out of your way. Get it out of your way. Get it off your desk. Get it off your calendar. You should not know if there's an issue with an application unless it's, oh my God, red level. We better get the president 911 on the red phone. You don't need to know about every little ticky tacky thing. You don't need to know that, oh my gosh, Barbara was upset about this. Unless your team absolutely cannot handle it, it should not come to you. And if they continue to come to you with little ticky tacky things, you've got an issue either with training or they just don't have the ability to be able to handle it. And that's a totally different issue. So systems create space and space gives you the oxygen to grow. So you need to have a vision reset. You need to reconnect with your why. So when I work with advisors and I feel like that they're plateauing, I ask one question. Tell me, what does winning look like for you right now? Because here's the thing. It's happened to me over the years with success. The truth is your definition of success has probably changed. Life happens, right? Right now I have a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. Success and winning today is totally different than when they were 5. Totally different than before we had kids. It's a totally different world. Maybe it's not about more clients today. Maybe that doesn't mean winning for you. Maybe it means I want to have a deeper relationship with all of my clients today and a deeper relationship with all of the new clients that I bring on. And ultimately, what I want to have is a better work life balance. Or even I want to make sure that I'm building this firm to make sure it's more sustainable for the next generation that's going to take it on, for my junior advisor, for my kids that I want to take over the business. You cannot grow towards a blurry goal. Clarity is jet fuel. Take a weekend every quarter. I learned this from one of my favorite advisors. Such a wonderful man, such a great guy, built such a beautiful business. He and his partner, he and his business partner slash wife, every quarter they would find a wonderful, beautiful destination, and it would just be the two of them, and they would take off for the weekend, and it would definitely be a focus of business, but also pleasure. But the purpose of it was to be able to step away from the business, reflect on the business, making sure that they use that time to work on the business, not in the business. Because guess what? You stay back at the house, you stay back at the office, you stay back in that area, you're going to get wrapped back into business and you're not going to have the clarity that you need to be able to ask yourself these questions. If my business today were fully aligned with my values, what would change? Ask yourself that question. Take that and build on it. What would I change? And this is how you specifically move from reactive growth to intentional growth. You want to be intentional about your growth. Then we need to have a leadership reset. We want to stop managing and start empowering. Every successful firm that I've seen out there, each individual within that firm, they are empowered to handle their business. So if you plateaued, there's a very good chance your team has too. And I guarantee you it goes back to one word, and that word is control, meaning you aren't giving up enough control. At a certain point, The success of your firm is not about your effort, and it's all about your leadership. Ugh, that's a tough one. Leadership. Well, I wasn't born a good leader. I was never taught to be a good leader. Excuses, get them out of your way. Here's the thing, you can't do everything. You shouldn't do everything. Don't do everything. And if you are the answer to every single question out there, you're not leading a business. You're running a support deck. And I promise you that that is draining you. That's killing you. So, here's the shift with all of that. This all sounds easy as I'm saying it. However, for some of you, this might quite possibly be the most difficult thing for you to do. Empower your people to make decisions. Trust them when they made the decisions. Give them ownership of the outcomes. And here's what you want to do is you want to hold them accountable to results, not routines. So when you stop being the engine to everything and start becoming the pilot, that's when real growth happens. You set the direction, they handle the controls, and all of a sudden you've got altitude again. And here's the thing, this might be where it gets real. Most advisors don't like to talk about this part, and I get it. You cannot break through the plateau with the wrong crew on board. I'm telling you, I've seen some firms where we've got brothers, in-laws, spouses in the business, and they are 100% the wrong crew. Difficult decisions have had to been made over the years. But with that being said, that has made wonderful, tremendous, positive impacts on the business. So remember this. I'm sure many of you have heard this before. Hire slow, fire fast. Now that doesn't mean be reckless. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is again, be intentional. Be intentional with these steps. When you're hiring, don't look just for a skill. Look for alignment with your firm, alignment with your team, alignment with you. Ask yourself these questions as you're looking to hire. Is this an individual that's excited about growth? Are they excited about a vision of growth? Do we feel like they share our culture? And as I'm speaking with them, do they show initiative? Or is this someone that has to wait on instructions every time? Because here's the thing, if they're not aligned with where you're going, they're going to hold you back. Even if they're good at what they're doing, even if they have good skill set, and I want you to ask yourself this question today. I've asked this question of a few of my advisors over the years, and it's made a tremendous impact. And I actually learned this from one of our top advisors. If there isn't someone in your firm today that you wouldn't rehire today if given the chance, then you need to take a look at why they're still there. Once again, if there's someone on your firm today that you wouldn't rehire today, ask yourself, why are they still here? So growth requires clarity. Clarity demands courage. Sometimes that means upgrading systems. Sometimes that means upgrading people. And sometimes it means freeing up a seat for someone who's actually hungry to grow with you. Your job as a leader isn't to make sure that everyone's comfortable, by the way. More importantly, it's to make sure that everyone is capable. So hire slow, fire fast, make sure that everyone in your organization is rowing in the same direction towards the same vision. But because the right team doesn't just support your growth, more importantly, they accelerate it. So, how do we put all this into practice? Let's boil it down. If your practice is plateaued, here's your 3-step breakthrough plan. Number one, audit your systems, eliminate inefficiencies that keep you stuck in maintenance mode. Number two, revisit your vision with your whole team. You might have to start with yourself first, because here's the thing, you can't grow towards goals that you've already outgrown. guarantee you've outgrown many of your goals. Number three, we've talked about this over and over again. Empower your people. If you're the smartest person in every meeting, probably in the wrong meeting. I know you've heard that before. Growth is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most better. Growth is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most better. Print this next statement out. Post it on your wall. Remind yourself, my business will only grow to the level of my clarity, systems, and leadership. So, what we went through today are why some practices plateau, more importantly, how to break through. It's not about effort, it's about evolution. And here's the thing, every single breakthrough starts with a single decision to stop working in your business and to start working on it. Make this easier, I created what I call the Plateau Breakthrough Guide. It's a very simple one-page roadmap that you'll be able to use to identify exactly where your practice is stuck, the exact steps that you need to reset your systems, your team, your mindset. Head out to our site to grab your copy, which is simply evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. Once again, evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. Because once again, breaking through the plateau isn't about luck, it's about leverage. And the sooner you recognize this and the sooner you apply it, the sooner that you're going to be able to rediscover freedom, energy, growth, and exactly why you built this business in the first place. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, follow this podcast. We're on all of the platforms out there. And also, don't be stingy, man. Share this podcast. Share it with an advisor that you feel could benefit from these strategies. And before I close, I just want to say to every advisor out there right now listening, thank you. You definitely don't hear it enough. You are making a real difference in your communities. You are making a real difference with your families. You're not just managing assets, you're managing peace of mind. You're guiding families through real uncertainty, and that matters. It matters deeply. This has been Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I'm Rob Romesburg. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep making a difference. See you next time on Unfiltered and Unstoppable. Thank you as always.